Imagine a tiny economy car packing a monster V8 engine that could leave even the fastest muscle cars in the dust. The Motion Vega was the ultimate underdog, turning heads and destroying the competition with mind-blowing speed. The beginning of the Motion Vega. Before there were websites and car forums, hot rodding was a special community that was all about making cars go faster. People loved the idea of putting bigger engines into small, light cars. At that time, there were no fancy turbochargers or superchargers like we see today. The big thing was adding massive GMC superchargers, and no one called it a power adder. It was just a cool new way to make a car faster. In the early 1970s, car enthusiasts were always eager to learn about new tricks and upgrades for their rides. Hot Rod magazines would often get the inside scoop from car manufacturers about exciting new concepts. One such story came straight from Chevy's product planner's book. The engineers at Chevy had built a special Vega with an all-aluminum 302 V8 engine and a turbo 350 transmission. It was reported to run a 13.97 second quarter mile. This was an exciting revelation, even though no major production car ever came from it. The Baldwin Motion Partnership. Let's have a quick view at its origin. Back in the early 1970s, things changed dramatically for the car industry. A huge oil embargo caused by a crisis in the Middle East made gas more expensive and harder to get. This wasn't enough to stop car enthusiasts, though. They still wanted fast cars, and this need led to new ideas and partnerships. One of the most famous partnerships at the time was between Baldwin Chevrolet, a family-run car dealership in Baldwin, New York, and Motion Performance, a well-known speed shop that specialized in custom builds. Baldwin Chevrolet was a trusted place to buy cars, but Motion Performance was where the magic happened. It was run by Joel Rosen, who had a background in racing cars. In 1966, Joel Rosen teamed up with Baldwin Chevrolet's manager, Ed Simonin, to create something special. They decided to make custom-built high-performance cars by taking regular cars from Baldwin Chevrolet and sending them to Motion Performance for special modifications. The cars would then be sold back through Baldwin with the option to be financed through General Motors Acceptance Corporation, GMAC, making it easier for customers to get one of these performance machines. This partnership was a game-changer for muscle car fans, as it allowed anyone with the right resources to buy a made-to-order street machine. And many car enthusiasts were thrilled to get their hands on one of these custom cars. Baldwin Motion builds and customization. This partnership set Baldwin Motion apart from other performance car dealerships. Most other dealerships would sell you a stock car, and then you would have to modify it yourself to make it perform better. But Baldwin Motion took that process to the next level. They sold completely customized cars that were built for performance from the start. These cars came with upgrades to the engine, suspension, and drivetrain, and they were designed to handle everything from the street to the drag strip. Customers could choose from a wide variety of options. Some of the most popular choices included high-performance carburetors, custom headers, and even special suspension parts that made the cars handle better at high speeds. Baldwin Motion cars were also known for their unique visual look. They would get special paint jobs, custom wheels, and unique body modifications that made them stand out on the road. These cars were made to order, which meant that no two Baldwin Motion cars were exactly the same. This gave each car its own personality and made it even more special for the owners who could afford it. Some of these cars were truly works of art, with every detail carefully thought out and tailored to the owner's desires. This customization process was part of what made Baldwin Motion cars so special. They weren't just fast, they were also unique, with each one being built to the owner's exact specifications. Whether it was a Camaro, Chevelle, Corvette, or even a Nova, These cars were designed to go faster and perform better than anything else on the road. What made them stand out even more was the fact that they came with a performance guarantee. If the car didn't perform as promised, the owner would get their money back. Joel Rosen's Baldwin Motion cars were unlike any others on the market. They were built to race, built to be seen, and built to perform at the highest level. It wasn't just about the cars themselves, but also about the experience of owning one. Every Baldwin Motion car was a statement of speed, power, and style. The golden years of Baldwin Motion. Let's push forward. By 1970, Baldwin Motion was in full swing. The cars they built were the talk of the muscle car world. Enthusiasts who wanted more than just a regular Camaro or Corvette could turn to Baldwin Motion and get a fully customized supercar. One of the most notable models was Phase 3, a high-performance version of the Chevrolet Camaro and Corvette. These cars came with massive engines, custom body modifications, and a variety of performance parts that made them faster than anything else on the road. The Phase 3 cars were especially famous for their incredible speed. Baldwin Motion offered a money-back guarantee that the cars would run at least 120 miles per hour and finish a quarter mile in 11.50 seconds or better. This was an incredible promise, and Baldwin Motion delivered on it every time. Not a single customer ever had to make a claim on that guarantee, which showed just how well built these cars were. The Baldwin Motion cars weren't just built for drag racing, they were built to be reliable street cars that could be driven every day. These cars were a blend of style and performance, and they quickly became some of the most sought-after vehicles in the muscle car market. The cars were so well known that they were even exported to other countries like Puerto Rico, Kuwait, and Mexico, where they gained a following of their own. Rosen's dedication to building the fastest and most unique cars made Baldwin Motion a name that would go down in history. However, as the 1970s wore on, things started to change for the car world. Environmental regulations and the rising cost of gas made it harder for high-performance cars to stay popular. Despite this, Baldwin Motion continued to build special-order cars for those who wanted something truly unique and fast. But it wasn't long before new regulations started to have a real impact on the business. The evolution of the Motion Vega. After the success of the Baldwin Motion partnership, things began to shift in the automotive world. As the 1970s progressed, new government regulations, especially from the Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, started to make it harder for high-performance cars to stay on the road. Despite this, Baldwin Motion continued to offer special-order cars for customers who wanted a unique and powerful vehicle. One of the standout models in this era was the Motion Vega, a car that took the original Chevy Vega and made it into something far beyond what anyone expected from a compact car. The biggest change that Rosen made was the engine. Baldwin Motion was already installing small block V8s into the Vegas, but this time they took things up a notch. Rosen began offering V8s ranging from the 350 cubic inch small block to the powerful 454 cubic inch big block. These engines were available with various setups, including naturally aspirated versions, turbocharged versions, and even supercharged versions. The 454 big block V8s, in particular, were the most exciting option for those who wanted pure power. These engines were built to run fast and hard, and they made the Vega one of the most feared cars on the street. To support these massive engines, several upgrades were made to the car's suspension and drivetrain. The rear end was strengthened with a narrowed 12-bolt rear axle, and the car's suspension was modified with high-performance components to keep everything stable at high speeds. The suspension included hijacker air shocks, motion traction devices, and new springs from Rosen's private stock, all of which helped the car handle the enormous power of the big block V8. Not only this, The stock Vega's steering system was able to handle the new engine without too much modification, which was a notable achievement considering the size and weight of the big block engine. However, other parts, like the radiator, had to be replaced with custom-made versions to handle the extra heat generated by the high-powered engines. Despite all the changes to improve performance, the Vega's cooling system was still not perfect. The car tended to spill water after driving in hot weather for extended periods. While this wasn't a deal-breaker, it showed that even with all the improvements, the car was not entirely ready for everyday use, especially in hot climates. Despite these cooling issues, the Motion Vega was a real powerhouse. The car was capable of shredding its tires from start to finish. In fact, with the right tires and traction, the Motion Vega could accelerate smoothly in every gear except for the highest. Even without extensive tuning, the combination of a high-performance engine, a close-ratio transmission, and a rear end designed for speed made the car nearly unstoppable. The big block V8 and its power. One of the most remarkable features of the Motion Vega was the massive 454 cubic inch big block V8 engine. This engine, often referred to as a rat motor, was one of the largest engines available at the time and offered a tremendous amount of torque. Modifications were necessary to make room for this engine. The firewall had to be cut to fit the engine's size, and the engine mounts were changed from stock mounts to saddle-type front engine mounts. This setup was similar to the engine mounts used in the 1962 and earlier Corvettes, which helped to keep the engine securely in place while offering the necessary support for the massive V8. But that's not all. The engine was connected to a Borg-Warner 4-speed manual transmission, which had a 2.64-to-1 paired with the low-end torque of the big block engine, made for brutal acceleration. Even with the manual transmission, which some considered too much for a car with this kind of power, the car was still capable of leaving competitors far behind. The close ratio gears, combined with the rear end and the big tires, made sure that the Motion Vega could put its power down quickly and effectively, with wheel spin being a constant companion during acceleration. The price and rarity of the Motion Vega. When it came to the Motion Vega, the price tag was certainly not cheap. In fact, when these cars were being built, they could cost anywhere from $4,000 to $7,000. That was a high price for a car, especially in the early 1970s. But when you think about the custom modifications, the powerful V8 engines, and the one-of-a-kind nature of the car, it starts to make sense why they were so expensive. These cars were not mass-produced. Each one was carefully built to order, with special parts and enhancements to make them unique. The Motion Vega was a rare masterpiece in the car world. There weren't many of them made, and even fewer have survived. While Rosen believed there might have been 3 or 4 of these cars built, it's hard to say how many are still out there today. Many of these custom-built Vegas likely met their end on the racetrack, or were further modified by their owners. The cars that have survived are highly sought after by collectors and muscle car enthusiasts. Finding a Motion Vega in its original condition today is nearly impossible, and if one were to pop up at an auction, it would fetch a high price due to its rarity and unique history. Problems with the Motion Vega. Although the Motion Vega was an exciting and powerful car, it did come with its share of problems. First, the car's cooling system had some major issues. The 454 big block engine was much larger and more powerful than the stock engine, which caused the car to produce a lot of heat. Even though Rosen tried to address this by installing a custom radiator and a high-capacity fan, the car still had trouble keeping cool, especially in stop-and-go traffic or in hot weather. Overheating was a common problem with the Motion Vega, and it required constant attention. The car's handling was another area that needed improvement. The Vega's stock suspension was not built to handle the power of a 454 engine. To solve this, Rosen made some modifications, such as adding stiffer springs and upgraded shocks. While these changes improved the handling to some extent, the car still struggled with its weight distribution. The heavy engine at the front of the car made it prone to understeering, which could be dangerous in certain driving conditions. Even though the car was fast, it wasn't the easiest to handle in tight corners or on tricky roads. Another problem with the Motion Vega was its reliability. The Vega's original mechanical components were not designed to handle the stress of a big block engine. The engine, transmission, axles, and brakes all needed to be upgraded to ensure that the car could handle the power. Even with these upgrades, the car was not as reliable as many of the other muscle cars of the era. The Vega's frame was also prone to rust, especially with the added weight and stress of the larger engine. Fuel economy was another issue. The 454 engine drank gas at a much faster rate than the stock Vega engine. This made the Motion Vega impractical for everyday use, especially considering the poor handling and comfort. It was a car that was made for performance, not for long drives or fuel savings. Lastly, the brakes were another concern. The stock brakes were not built to handle the power and weight of the 454 engine. They were weak compared to other muscle cars of the time, and they required upgrades to ensure that the car could stop safely. Larger rotors, more powerful calipers, and a stronger master cylinder were necessary to keep the Motion Vega's braking system in check. The legacy of the Motion Vega. Despite its issues, the Motion Vega has earned a place in automotive history. It was one of the most daring and extreme muscle cars of its time, a product of the wild experimentation and passion for performance that defined the 1970s. At a time when muscle cars ruled the streets, the Motion Vega stood out as a car that pushed the limits of what could be done with a small economy car. Even though it wasn't designed for comfort or everyday driving, the Motion Vega became a legend in the world of street racing and car enthusiasts. Collectors and fans still talk about the Motion Vega and the incredible story behind it. The car might not be the most practical or the most comfortable, but it was certainly one of the most unique and powerful creations to come out of the muscle car era. It's a reminder of a time when performance was everything, and the Motion Vega will always be remembered as a symbol of the 1970s automotive rebellion. The Motion Vega proved that size doesn't always matter when it comes to raw power. Let us know what you think in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more amazing car stories. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.